30 years since Oslo, 3 years since Abraham, and potentially months away from a new deal. Wednesday marks 30 years since Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin shook hands with Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat on the White House lawn, seemingly agreeing to end the long conflict with the intention of creating self-determination for the Palestinian people and peace in the region. But, due to disagreements within the framework of the Accords and the assassination of Rabin 2 years later, the peace process failed. Fast forward 27 years later, almost to the day, the Israeli Prime Minister, this time Benjamin Netanyahu, was also on the White House lawn with foes turned friends from UAE and Bahrain signing the Abraham Accords, normalizing ties with Israel's Arab neighbors. Whilst ties have thawed a little bit, with an increase in bilateral trade, it is still not the smoothest of relations, largely due to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and Israel's far-right government. And now, Israel and the US are seemingly closing in on their next target. Talks have taken place in Saudi Arabia over potential normalization with Israel, but the kingdom is not making it easy, with a list of demands including self-determination for the Palestinians. Does every Israeli diplomatic deal have to include the Palestinians? And will any Israeli government, especially the current one, ever agree to this? Has Israel learned from mistakes with its past deals? What are the legacies of the Abraham and Oslo Accords?
All right, let's get to it, gentlemen. What are the legacies of the Abraham and Oslo Accords? As always, we begin with our quick fire round, 30 seconds each to let your initial stance on the matter, and we take it from there. Yehudah Glick, please take the lead. Your 30 seconds are on, sir.
Shalom, Eli, and I would like to start this with wishing all the viewers of I-24 a Shana Tova, very happy New Year's.
Right back at you.
Hebrew New Year tomorrow. From there, I would like to say that it connects. The people of Israel came back home to the Holy Land, the land of Israel, to serve as a light upon the nations. And I think that every one of these peace treaties is our nation striving to reach a peace, and I'll say more a shalom, worldly shalom, which will be a blessing for all the nations.
Amen to that. I will allow myself to add. Sinijlawi, your thoughts?
Well, Oslo did not bring nor peace to Israelis, security to Israelis, nor freedom to Palestinians. It resulted in more control of Israelis over Palestinians. What is left from Oslo is fences, barriers, and the regime permit, which is altogether the most powerful bureaucratic weapon, control weapon of a nation to another nation. With Abraham Accord, I can say that it's a lesson. If the Palestinian issue is never solved, then all treatments between Israel and the Arab world are only trade and security cooperation, but not peace.
Yeah. There is a difference here, and we'll talk about it in a split second. Last but not least, Dr. Jacques Neriah, your take?
Well, you know, it's an unfinished work, unfortunately. I mean, the agreements should have brought us to coexist with the Palestinians, and because of mistakes from both sides, we just arrived to a point where there's no return. And the famous argument of Rabin saying that an agreement with the Palestinian is reversible has proved after 30 years that it is irreversible.
And on that note, gentlemen, let's please feel free to interact, to engage in a conversation. And I do want to begin with you, Dr. Neriah, because there is this sense of a wide conception nowadays that Oslo was an utter failure. But with the lack of any other solution since, maybe Oslo isn't such a failure?
Let us correct history. The first to propose an autonomy to the Palestinians was not Rabin. It was Menachem Begin who proposed a self-rule to the Palestinians, which were further changed into full autonomy. And the Labour Party took it from there and approached the solution in two phases: an interim solution and the final solution, or Of course, this is a bad term to use, but I mean, this is the end of the conflict should have been long ago there. But in fact, when the two sides signed the agreement, Rabin was not aware of the positions of the real positions of Yasser Arafat, and when he came through those positions in December 1993, he came out. He was completely furious, and he said, "It's too bad I didn't meet him before signing the accords, the Oslo Accords."
Yeah, would have, should have, could have, right? Summer Sinijlawi, will there be any better deal than Oslo for the Palestinians?
Well, I think the interim period is a bad idea. If leadership want to strike a deal, a peace deal, it should be in one shot, and that's it. But this interim period, again, let's see what's the result of Oslo. Oslo did not only impact the lives of Palestinians, it also changed the face of the Israeli society. Because I was talking about the fence, the barriers, the checkpoints, the permit regime. These borders are solid for Palestinians. They cannot cross them, but they are transparent for Israelis. They can cross them. And if you have legitimized a system that affects the second most basic human right, which is after the right to life, the right of freedom of movement, if you legitimize this, then by days after days, it became very legitimate inside the Israeli society, the Jewish supremacy, the apartheid. It became accepted and it has a justification, a security theology, which says that every Palestinian, behind every Palestinian hides a terrorist, and a movement of any Palestinian in any space is a security threat. If this was legitimized inside the Israeli society, then the whole system of supremacy became more acceptable inside the Israeli society. And this is all, we came to this only because we have entered into tunnels of interim steps, and we never came to the end goal, which is a peace among both Palestinians and Israelis. So I would like to see courageous leaders that will destroy fences, will create bridges, because peace needs partnership, needs engagements, needs equality. Equality in the freedom of movement, equality in everything. If we cannot achieve this, nobody can force peace among millions of people on both sides.
Yes. Well, Yehudah Glick, please chime in.
I would like to refer to the thing that we just heard both from Honorable Jacques Neriah and Honorable Samer. The Oslo Agreement failed for a major reason, because there was some kind of belief that peace you make between enemies. And that's not true. Peace you make between people who want to make peace. And as Jacques said, Yasser Arafat did not only show a blind eye to terror at the same moment when he was shaking the hand of late Prime Minister Rabin, he actually supported the terror and encouraged it. And you cannot, at the same time, encourage terror and sign a peace treaty. Unfortunately, the Palestinians, as was said by our late Foreign Minister, Abba Ibn, never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. And we can hear the words of the Sama right now. The Palestinians, ever since the establishment of the State of Israel, instead of coming about and accepting any hand that was shaken, that was put in their direction to shake, and to go on and support any kind of solution, they're always busy blaming the whole world for their failures, instead of looking at themselves and understanding that the Palestinian Authority is a corrupt authority, instead of looking at themselves that they're not trying to help themselves, but they're busy blaming the whole world for their failure, they're going to continue failing, and Israel is going to continue making peace with the whole world, because that's exactly what we're here for.
Well, to that point, and we don't have much time left to conclude the first part of our discussion, I would like to connect the two, Oslo and the Abraham Accords. Did, to an extent, Dr. Neriah, the Abraham Accords nullified the premise of Oslo?
Well, it is based on the fact that there is a semi-agreement between us and the Palestinians, and that in the future maybe some leaders from both sides will just raise from the ashes and have the courage to begin negotiations, the real negotiations on a deal between the Palestinians and ourselves. Because I mean, after all, the Palestinians are our direct neighbors. The Emiratis and the Qataris and all the others are certainly very interesting phenomena, but they are not our neighbors, our direct neighbors. And I think that what is really, if we are looking for real peace, then I think Israel will have to do some sacrifices concerning the Palestinian issue.
We'll talk about that after the break. But before we do, Sinijlawi, briefly, if you can, did the Abraham Accord kill Palestinian diplomacy?
Well, I think the Abraham Accord could open doors for Palestinian diplomacy. We again, and I agree that we kept losing some good opportunities in history. And in the last 100 years, if you want to compare why did our project fail and why did the Zionist project succeed, at your side, at the Israeli side, at the Zionist side, there was always leadership, pragmatic, that is ready to take options and move ahead. From our side, we have never had leadership, never. Not Haj Amin Husseini, not Arafat, not even Abu Mazen. We have always a lack of leadership, a leadership that has a vision. The Abraham Accord could be a very excellent platform for Palestinians, because on one-to-one with the Israelis, on a bilateral level, we lose. We are very weak. Israelis are stronger than us hundreds of times in economy and military. How can you negotiate such an opponent?
But when you come
to a regional...
I just want to allow Yehudah to chime in before we take a break, Summer. Yehudah, are the Abraham Accords increasing or decreasing the Israeli appetite for peace with the Palestinians?
Look, the solution of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is very simple. Just live together. We're living here together. Instead of trying to establish a Palestinian state, which everybody, I think, in the region understands that that's not realistic anymore, let's live together. Let's live in peace. Let's work together. Let's develop common initiatives. Let's open businesses and work together. Instead of the Palestinians busy banning the Jewish settlements, let them cooperate with them. That is peace. Peace is living, and Palestinians have autonomy. So right now, that's the real peace is here if we only pick it up and live it.
All right. On that refreshing note, we will be taking a very quick break, but we have so much more to unpack because the future lies ahead, Israeli-Saudi normalization, and where does Ramallah fit in this master plan? A few minutes, gentlemen, and we're back. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the summit. Still with us, Dr. Jacques Neriah, Sinijlawi, Yehudah Glick. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for staying with us. We're also, of course, staying on topic, but shifting focus to the future. Now, the next stop of the diplomatic train, perhaps, Saudi normalization. So here's Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's take a listen.
This is a huge change. I thank President Biden for this important initiative, and I want to tell you that this changes our global and historic standing. Now the State of Israel is becoming a different type of transit state. It's becoming a central junction in global economy and a bridge of peace that transforms us. We have already made Israel a central junction in the fields of cyber, water and gas, and we will now do it also with transportation, energy and global communications. I think it is a very great blessing.
Yeah, and that comment of the Israeli premier, of course, over this new groundbreaking American road and belt, if you will, that will connect India, the Middle East, and Europe, Saudi Arabia and Israel very much included. So, gentlemen, let's cut to the chase. Another quick fire round, 30 seconds each. What price should Israel be paying for Saudi normalization? Sinijlawi, take the lead, please.
Well, Israel should accept that the Palestinians have equal rights. And the Israelis need to know that the big price, Saudi Arabia, does not come for free. It is not peace for peace. the Saudis will insist that Israel will make dramatic, huge strategic steps towards Palestinians. And the only translation of these words is a Palestinian state on the borders of 67 with some kind of acceptable solution for everybody in Jerusalem.
Dr. Jacques Neriah, your thoughts?
I would go back to what Rabin said in his last days, that would be establishing, we would propose a federation between the Palestinians and Israel, and this would solve the problem of the territorial problem, the problem of the borders, the problem of the army, and the security agencies. I think that this is the best solution for both the people.
Well, so many years since, and still the same solutions as the basic premise are on the table. Yehudah Glick, last but not least, your take?
First of all, I really want to say that I truly pray that this year will be a breakthrough in the relationship with Saudi Arabia and with all the Arab world. And I think that the best thing Israel can do is invest together with Saudis for the sake of upgrading the quality of life of Palestinians. And that is the best thing that could be for the Palestinian nation, more than anything else.
But Yehudah and gentlemen, let's feel free to engage in a conversation. Does every Israeli diplomatic deal of any sort have to include the Palestinians?
Look, the Palestinians are living here, and they live here side to side by us. We have over 500,000 Jews living today in Judea and Samaria. Nobody really thinks that it's practical to establish a Palestinian state. So what the Palestinians can do is exactly what the Israeli Arabs do. Live with us, benefit from the fact that they're living with us, invest together with us, develop and businesses together with the Israelis, and understand the differences between us.
Well, you must admit that at this point in time, living with us doesn't look so appealing. Yeah.
What?
No,
it doesn't look so appealing. So maybe, is it more appealing to continue complaining about how their situation is so terrible? You know, after the Israelis left Gaza, we had left there behind there so much. Israel, 25% of our agricultural export came from there. All the Palestinians had to do was develop their state. Instead of that, they invested their money in developing terror tunnels. I promise the Palestinians,
I have a question
if they will continue investing in terror in Judea and Samaria, they will not gain anything. But if they will invest in their life, they will only benefit more than anybody else.
Summer.
I have a question for you, Yehudah. I want to live with you.
Yes, Summer, I'm listening.
Okay? I just want to be a citizen of any state. Which state can I be a citizen? If there will be no Palestinian state, will you accept me as an Israeli citizen? Can I be a citizen in the state of Israel?
Tell me, why haven't there been elections? Why haven't there been elections in the Palestinian Authority for 20 years?
Well, this is part of our problems also that we are fighting. We are fighting our own leadership that is becoming a dictator leadership that is not allowing election. Abbas is self-employing himself, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But now let's talk about the deal with the Saudis. You said we are offering the Palestinians to live with us. I want to live with you. Okay. What kind of citizenship I will hold? Give me an answer.
Okay, Summer, in my opinion,
or as a human being,
let's allow Yehudah to answer. Yeah.
Summer, in my opinion, if Palestinians and Israelis will live peacefully, you will be able to be an Israeli citizen. I will be happy to give you Israeli citizenship.
With the Saudis.
Well,
let us assume you are the prime minister, the Israeli prime minister. I am the Palestinian prime minister. I will tell you, I will sign on the deal with the Saudis, full normalizations. And the Palestinians now, in this moment, what will be their status? Citizens of Israel or citizens of the state of Palestine? What will be your choice?
As soon as I'll tell you the answer. As soon as the Palestinians put down their ammunition and declare that they have no war with Israel, they will be able to be Israeli citizens.
Well,
so we can do it at the moment, yes? 5 million Palestinians from Gaza and the West
No,
Bank.
Gentlemen, if you two are prime ministers, I do look forward to the future. That's for certain. Dr. Jacques Neriah, I do want you to chime in. You were there sitting in those rooms way back when, and you know, yesterday in yesterday's show, we had an interview with a space doctor, okay, that is dealing with aliens, and we were trying to think of non-human ways to look for non-humans, right? Is there a new way to look at the Israeli-Palestinian conflict within the context of Saudi normalization?
Look, Netanyahu is very much aware of the price Israel will have to pay for normalization with Saudi Arabia. The idea of one citizenship for Palestinians and Israelis, I think, is something that would not be acceptable to most Israelis. What has to be done is a freeze on what's going on right now in the territories, and then offer a referendum to the Israeli people on the solution that the government is proposing. And what I say is that we have to think about a federation between two political entities, one Palestinian entity and one Israeli entity, Jewish entity. And this is the only way we can survive and we can coexist.
Gentlemen, we're nearing the end of our discussion, and we're talking about Israelis and Palestinians, but let's talk about the other side of the divide, another crucial component of this equation, the Saudis. Are we talking about a substantial ideological Arab paradigm shift, so to speak, or is it all just realpolitik, which is okay, but a different case? Summer.
Well, let me share with you my views on what's happening now. I think it's only the Americans that are trying to rush the process. The Saudis might not be in a hurry, but I don't believe that there will be any deal now because of lack of partner on the Israeli and on the Palestinian side. The current Israeli coalition is not a coalition for peace with anybody. The current Israeli coalition is not capable for doing peace internally among themselves with Israelis. How can they achieve any kind of compromise or peace deal with anybody else? So the current coalition does not. And also the Palestinian leadership, that yesterday there was a poll released which says that they have only 17% of the support among the Palestinians. So 83% of the Palestinians do not recognize this leadership, do not support it. So how can such a leadership play a role into bringing the Palestinian element into the Saudi-Israeli-American deal? Lack of leadership, both on the Israeli and on Palestinian side, will not allow any deal now.
Well, it seems that we will be debating all those until the next Jewish New Year still. But Yehudah, Jacques Neriah, in one word, yes or no, until next Rosh Hashanah, deal, no deal with the Saudis? Yehudah, yes or no?
Yes, there's an interest in all three
Dr.
sides.
Neriah?
The Saudis, the Americans, and the Israelis are enthusiastic
Dr. Neriah, yes or
reach a deal, and I'm sure there will be one.
All right.
Hey, I see you liked it. Want more? Just hit the subscribe button right here. Go on. I know you want to.